Welcome to Story Connections, where we discuss books and all the wonderful, exciting, frightening, and fascinating tales they present, and how all these things pertain to our lives. Now, here are your hosts, Kathryn Townsend and Rebecca Guthrie.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Guthrie.
And I'm Kathryn Townsend.
And this is Story Connections. If you want to connect with us online, you can visit us at whystoriesmatter.com or facebook.com/whystoriesmatter. And we'd love to have you tell us what you're reading this week or just stop by and say hi. So today, I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about mysteries, and we have a special guest with us. Christine Burke is the owners of Clues Unlimited, which is an independent mystery bookstore that's located on Fort Lowell and Country Club, and she's here to talk with us this segment about her bookstore and mysteries and why she loves them and all that stuff. So welcome, Christine.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome. We're thrilled to have you. So the first question, I guess, would be, why did you decide to open an independent mystery bookstore?
Well, actually, I was a customer at the first incarnation of this bookstore, which was Footprints of a Gigantic Hound. And when I heard that and I was working as a stockbroker at that time, and I heard that the owners were thinking about retiring, and I thought, this would be such fun. For one thing, I'd get to read books and I wouldn't have to buy them.
I can understand that one.
So I and two other women decided to go ahead and we bought the store in 1996.
So were you a mystery reader when you purchased it, or did you become a mystery reader after you purchased it?
No, I was definitely a mystery reader and definitely a good customer of theirs.
So why do you like mysteries? Why is that a thing that you gravitate towards?
I think that mysteries have a number of things going for them. One is that they tend to have a strong narrative, and they grab your attention. You've got this puzzle that needs to be solved. More than that, and this, I don't want people to think I'm putting too much on mystery as a genre, but mystery really offers us a moral perspective that a lot of other kinds of books don't. Every time you have a crime, what you have is a tearing of the social fabric. The mystery presents us with this tear, and then the detective has to find out what happened, who did it, why it was done, and that in a way knits back the fabric so that things come together again. There's nothing, when you think about it, what's more awful than murder? Not much.
Yes, no.
Exactly. And, if you look at something like, John Donne, the Anglican priest in the 16th century, in one of his sermons, says, each man's death diminishes me. And that's what happens, because we're all connected.
So do you think people like mysteries because even if they haven't analyzed it to the extent that you're talking about, on some level they understand that what they're looking at is a mini repair of the fabric of society?
Yes, and they're also, the other thing that I think is really important is that in mysteries there's justice.
Yes, there is.
And so it's a little of life. Do you actually see justice done? Reading mysteries is...
I think that's a really interesting point, because one of the things that we were talking about last week when we were talking about young adult novels is that a lot of young adult novelists have started breaking the contract between reader and author, and there isn't a resolution at the end of the book. But I can't think of any mysteries where there isn't a resolution, where the crime doesn't get solved or where justice isn't done. Are there mysteries that do that?
I can't really think of anything because most of the time, yes, justice is done. There is a resolution, and the justice may not be, somebody being hauled off to jail. Justice may mean something else, something other than that. But there is justice done, and we do know the whys of the crime. We know the hows of the crime, and that's very satisfactory too.
Right, the need to understand.
Well, I think that you could see that playing out with the missing Malaysia airline plane, and everybody going, "Where did it go? Where did it go? What happened?" And people became obsessed with what happened to this plane. They're conspiracy theories that make sense, and there are wacko conspiracy theories. But everybody, it feels like there's no resolution. We haven't found the plane. We don't know what happened, and it bothers people.
And yeah, at this point, I think everybody would be so happy to have a resolution that they don't even care really what it is, just to know.
Right.
And
that's what mysteries do. They let you know.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sold that mystery is an important genre.
No, and I'm glad you're sold, because there are people who say, "Oh my gosh, I would never read mysteries. I only read literary fiction."
Well, I have to admit that I do read mysteries, but I read cozies. I can't stand suspense. I just can't. So why don't you talk about the different kinds of mysteries that there are?
There are so many different kinds. It's wonderful, and in fact, there's whatever you do, there's a mystery that has to do with it. Cozies are mysteries that have minimal violence, minimal. They're usually funny. There's an amateur sleuth, and they often have a cat. There's a cat involved.
Really? That's true. I hadn't thought about that. That's true.
Now, police procedurals that's where you actually get into how police take care. How do they handle a crime? What sort of procedures they use? CSI would be a good example of a police procedural on TV. Private Eye is that's one of the oldest genres. And that's sort of the lone man, the kind of knight going out to
Sherlock Holmes would be a good example of that.
Yeah, to find the truth, to find justice. And now the Private Eye often has a dog.
Okay. What about Kinky Friedman?
And then there's Kinky Friedman.
He's got the cat, so that would be a cozy, wouldn't it?
You know, actually, I put him in cozy because there's really not a lot of violence.
Right.
And for our listeners at home, the voice that you just heard is Harry. He's our engineer, and he's wonderful. But we wanted to I've had people ask me, who is that? So
and I like to read, too.
Yes, he does.
So who is Kinky Friedman?
Kinky Friedman was in a rock band in the 60s. Kinky Friedman and the Texas Jew Boys. And then when that broke up, he started writing a mystery series. And then after he stopped doing that, he ran for governor of Texas.
And now he's running for the State Agriculture Commission in Texas.
Okay, there you go.
The basis of the story is he lives in a flat in Greenwich Village and has a group of close folks with him who help him solve crimes. There was one book, and I honestly can't remember the title of it, where he and Willie Nelson went out on Willie's bus, and they traversed through Arizona. And, I mean, hilarious stuff.
Oh, he's so funny. Yeah. He's also very involved with animal rescue.
Yes, he has an animal rescue ranch in Texas.
Okay, so there you go. You can read books with Willie Nelson on a tour bus, which I can only imagine would be funny.
Through Arizona.
There's a local connection.
How much better does it get than that?
I don't know.
It doesn't.
So, do you have a favorite mystery author?
Actually, I was thinking about it on the way over. Everybody always says who's my favorite, and part of that depends on what my mood is at the moment. But there are three people I'd like to mention that I think are just outstanding. One is Jacqueline Winspear, who writes a series with a woman named Maisie Dobbs.
I love those books.
Aren't they wonderful?
They're very fun.
These are set right after the First World War. Maisie is a private investigator, and they are so wonderful. And they touch on really important social issues, but in a way that
isn't preachy.
Not preachy at all.
And you don't feel like you're reading history, but you are.
But you're learning about things like the national strike in the 20s. Well, you're learning about it.
Not just that, but things that you might not necessarily think about in terms of what it was like to be a soldier coming back and trying to reintegrate when so many people died and so many of the survivors are wounded in ways that nobody can see.
Right. Oh yeah, and in fact, the book that she has, the new book that she has, is straight historical fiction about the Great War.
Okay.
But she is coming back to Maisie. So we don't need to worry about that.
Okay. So that's one.
The other person I really enjoy is Louise Penny. She's a Canadian writer who sets her series in a village outside of Montreal called Three Pines, and it's a village you just want to move to. Everybody seems interesting and fun. The descriptions of food just make you hungry. It's great. And she has not only the population of this little town that stays, people come and go, but there are certain characters who reappear, but also a police inspector who comes to solve the crimes, Inspector Gamache. And so we get to know his family, what's going on with them. For a while it looked like his daughter might be becoming involved with his detective sergeant, and we had to worry about that.
So we've got about a minute and a half left in this segment. So really quickly, who's the third one?
The third one is Craig Johnson. He writes a series set in Wyoming, wonderful, funny, featuring a sheriff in a small area of Wyoming. It's almost a local connection. Great read.
Well, very cool. So do you have any book clubs or anything like that, book signings, authors coming into town in the next couple of weeks that we can promote?
Well, we have a book club on the second Sunday of June, and we're reading an Elmore Leonard book, Riding the Ramp.
Okay.
Then we also have a signing coming up with Jenny Milchman, who's coming to sign her second book, Becky Masterman, Lala Corriere, and I think one other person, but I'm not sure.
And will all that information be up on your website?
That will be on my website. And then, as the frosting on the cake, so to speak, we have Books, Crooks, and Cupcakes coming up.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
What is Books, Crooks, and Cupcakes?
Kate Carlisle and Jen McKinley will be here talking about their books. And they're both cozies. They're both cozy writers. And Jen has a series with cupcakes. So I thought, no way we're going to let this go by without something
Thank you so much for swinging by and visiting with us and talking to us. We really appreciate it. And again, we've been speaking with Christine Burke from Clues Unlimited. She's the owner, and you should definitely swing by and say hi.
And real quick, what's your website?
CluesUnlimited.com.
Okay.
We'll see you on the other side.
Bye-bye.
Promoting free enterprise and independent thinking. This is Tucson's Intelligent Talk Station, 1030 KVOI, The Voice.